It doesn't take a PhD to see that things aren't going well for Prime Minister Trudeau and the Liberal Party, who are looking more suspicious as the weeks go by. The Pierre Elliott Trudeau Foundation, which PM Justin says he's not affiliated with, recently received a $200,000 donation from Chinese government political advisor Zhang Bing and $50,000 for a statue of Pierre Elliott Trudeau. Coincidentally, this came right after the PM attended a fundraiser at the home of Benson Wang, chair of the Chinese Business Chamber of Commerce. As CBC.ca reports, this is just one of 19 fundraising events Trudeau has been to, many of which are $1,500 per plate parties. What's significant about that? $1,500 is the maximum donation allowed by Elections Canada. So for example, you have the Laurier Club, which requires its members to pay $1,500 per year to get invited to parties that are, quote, attended by prominent members of the Liberal Party, where they can meet business and community leaders with similar values. Nothing suspicious about that at all. Trudeau is also in hot water for taking what he calls a family vacation to an island off of the Bahamas, owned by a powerful investor called the Aga Khan. There are many problems with this one can find with a simple Google search. But who is this so-called longtime family friend of the Trudeaus? He's a wealthy Muslim man from Switzerland who, by their definition, funds humanitarian efforts across the world. But in 1972, the Aga Khan, who is said to be the same bloodline as the Prophet Muhammad, requested and received extradition of 7,000 Asian Muslims to Canada from Uganda. This is because the Ugandan leader of the time, Idi Amin, had a dream that Allah told him to expel any Asians from his country. So they were brought to Canada, all with the help of Pierre Trudeau, of course. Fast forward to now, where PM Justin Trudeau escaped to the remote island for what he called a family vacation, which of course included Liberal Member of Parliament Seamus O'Regan and his husband, as well as Liberal Party President Anna Gainey and her husband. I suppose he considers all fellow party members his family. We will also have to wait and see what the Ethics Committee has to say about their use of Khan's private helicopter that flew them around the islands, which Trudeau has admitted to. As the National Post points out, the Federal Conflict of Interest Act forbids the Prime Minister from flying in any private or chartered aircraft, unless he has permission in advance from the Conflict of Interest Commission, or unless there are exceptional circumstances, or unless he is required to do so in his capacity as Prime Minister. And something tells me he wasn't required to do so. Not to mention the fact that it took reporters a lot of prying and digging just to get these simple facts of where he was going out of the Prime Minister. I suppose this is a good time to mention, as the Toronto Star reports, since 2004, the government has sponsored 16 international development projects spearheaded by the Aga Khan Foundation, worth a total of more than $300 million over several years. This includes projects in Afghanistan and Egypt, with a maximum government contribution of $66 million. That started in 2015, and they are scheduled to last until 2020. In fact, you can see a list of those projects on a Government of Canada website for yourself. So here you have the Prime Minister claiming he is going on a family vacation, but brings 2 members of Parliament with him and their spouses, takes a private helicopter which he's not supposed to take, all on the islands of a wealthy businessman who is currently lobbying the government for more government contracts, and we're supposed to think that nothing is wrong with that. Luckily for Trudeau, the standard most under 25 Canadians have held him to up to this point are speak clearly, make sure your hair looks good, mention feminism, and you can pretty much do whatever you want. Trudeau is currently on his grassroots tour across the country visiting coffee shops and other places, which so far has resulted in at least one woman fighting off tears to lay into him about her outrageous hydro prices, amidst one of the most obvious nonsense taxes ever passed, that being the carbon tax.
Not only work 75 hours a week, I stay and work 15 hours a day, just so I don't lose my home. My hydro bill, I want to share with you. A single family home, one person who works hard with a brace up to her leg, partially paralyzed every single day. I put that brace on and I'm proud to be Canadian, but something's wrong with our system. And I have faith in you and God that you're going to work hard to fix it. How do you explain to a woman how she's supposed to pay a hydro bill $1,085?